In today's video, we're going to talk about a couple of products that you probably didn't even know Sony sold. We know that they make great smartphones, they make great TVs, great soundbars for those TVs as well. We also know that they make great audio solutions, in-ear, over-the-ear to audio solutions, and we've loved them for many years. And being that they actually provide us a great experience when it comes to listening to sound, they actually offer a couple of products to help us in case we have any kind of mild to moderate hearing loss. And I'm talking about basically over-the-counter hearing aids. And they've been in this space for quite some time. We're going to check out two of their products. We're talking about the Sony E10 and the Sony C20 hearing aids. Both of these solutions offer us a way for people to manage mild to moderate hearing loss. And we're going to talk about the unique features and how they work on both Android and iOS. And if this is something that is interesting to you, my hope is that you find one of these helpful. This is TK, and let's go ahead and check out both of the hearing aids from Sony. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos for you on the channel. Now, I do want to start by saying, first and foremost, this is not going to be a review on these, and primarily because I actually don't suffer from a hearing loss, so it's a little bit hard for me to judge how well they work. What I can share with you guys is my experience of either using both of these products, how do they work, and also what are some of the unique features that they offer, as opposed to some of the options that we started to see, at least the conversation around hearing aids becoming more popular, now that Apple is deciding to put in some of those functionalities into their latest AirPods Pro 2s. And that was obviously going to be introduced as part of a software update to those options. But one of the biggest things that we're talking about there is that those are actually primarily hearing, basically earpods or earbuds that are going to give you audio solution, and then they're going to function as a hearing aid as a second thing. Sony is actually not only known very well into the audio solution when it comes to over-the-ear or in-ear solutions, but they also have a couple of products, and this is actually the second generation of it, that they've been selling for quite some time, and we're going to talk about what makes them so unique. We're going to start off first and foremost in talking about basically the two different solutions. We have, obviously, as you can see here, the E10 is an ear solution, or basically a earbud-looking solution, which means it sits in our ear, and it provides us the ability of actually getting moderate to a mild hearing loss management, and we're going to talk how they work. It's pretty much straightforward the way they look. Actually, they pretty much, we'll open it up here, they kind of look like earbuds, and when you remove them, they have like an ear tip in there. They charge in their case, and they also come obviously with a charging case. You can charge them via USB-C. The C20, this is a second generation one, and the specific part of it is that this is rechargeable. There's a first generation of this, which is the C10. It is not a rechargeable. You need to replace the batteries there. The C20s are nice because they now incorporate built-in batteries, and they still provide us the same solution in the small compact size that we've come to know from hearing aids. The nice thing about them is when you have these in your ear, nobody can tell you're even wearing the hearing aids. When you're wearing these, for the most part, everybody thinks you're wearing earbuds. What I like about them is that both of them are controlled using the Sony hearing app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You just need to scan the QR code and you're ready to go. They both come with a 1-year warranty. This is available on both. You can check them out. There's information there. There's a user guide as well for both of them that are included in the actual package. They include a USB-A to USB-C charging cable here on, this is basically going to be for the E10. A cleaning brush, as well as a nice little pick tool here, provide us the ability of cleaning them, making sure they're clean. A nice little chamois to keep them obviously very nice. And last but not least, replacement ear tips to make sure that you have the very best fit for your ears. Now on the C20, they include a few extra things. We still have the same brush, the cable, the ear tips themselves, as well as the chamois. But they also provided us here with a wax replacement kit. And this provides us the ability of replacing the wax seal on each ear tip. There's basically 8 of them in there and easily installed, and they come very nicely protected. So for the most part, everything else is pretty much the same in the packaging. You get the replaceable e-tips, the charging cable, the instruction manual, as well as the link to be able to download the application. Now, when we look at both of them, as I mentioned to you guys, they both have built-in batteries, and both of them will recharge directly within their cases. Sony's on the front here as far as the logo. We have a USB-C cable connection in the back to charge them. There's no wireless solution there. And on the bottom, we obviously have the name of the product. So we have the CRE-C20 and the CRE-E10. As far as when you open them, pretty much just tells you that basically you need to use the instructions and download the application. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We have the lights indicating if we're charging or if we're fully charged, an indicator light on the front, as well as a turn on pairing button if we need to connect it. The same thing here for those solutions. Very straightforward, very easy to use. And the actual configuration is so small, as I said, when you have these in your ear, you pretty much don't even know they're there. They are magnetic for both configurations, so once you have them in there, let's go ahead and give them a second. The light indicates that it's connected and they will not fall down. And they're very nice. They're the size of basically a case or basically some normal buds that you put in your pocket. Very nice and very easy. The battery life on these, on both the C20 as well as the E10, is rated to last about 25 to 26 hours of usage. Now, this is actually pretty almost accurate as far as the usage because these are not going to be used for audio. They're not going to be used for phone calls with the exception of here with the E10 because this actually supports audio playback right now on iOS devices. But other than that, the battery life should be pretty consistent if you're using them as an audio, as a hearing solution, as hearing aids actually. So about 26 hours of usage on a single charge per buds. And of course, if you consider the fact that the case itself has 3 times the battery life, you basically are getting pretty much 3 days worth of usage if you're going on a trip, and you probably will be able to continue using them over time. But for the most part, it'll last you an entire day. Put them on the charger, next morning you're ready to go. And if you want to sleep with them, again, I feel like these will be the best solution as they pretty much sit very nice and snugly in the ear, and there's less chances of them falling off when you're sleeping. Now, as far as the actual look, or how does it look like when I'm wearing it, specifically with the C20 here, again, putting them in is very nice and very easy, and they're basically marked. There's a right and left on them. You put them on. Okay, and then once you have them on, it's pretty straightforward. It makes a little bit of a chime when you first turn it on, and you put them in your ear. And as you can see, it's almost hard to tell that I even have them in my ear. Most of the time when I've talked to people when I had them on, most of them didn't even realize I had them on there. The biggest thing obviously is if you are using them to compensate for some mild to moderate hearing loss, this is where it becomes very functional and you're able to customize them. When you're ready to remove them, just pull directly on the actual little, what looks like basically small antennas, and you're able to put them back straight into their case and get them to charge, and you're ready to go for the next day when you wake up. And for the E10s, it's pretty straightforward. You put them on, and they give you the same chime that you get as far as the C20, and you pretty much know that they're working. And actually, pretty much when you put them on, you'll notice that the entire universe just kind of elevates. The sound just becomes a lot clearer. You actually start being able to hear things a lot further away. And for me, I find it a little bit kind of funny, but it makes it a lot easier for me to understand when my son is mumbling a little bit when he's sitting next to me. He doesn't talk very clearly all the time, so that actually kind of works. And one thing to mention as far as the E10s is that they actually have a second functionality on iOS devices right now. Hopefully in the future we'll get it on Android, is that they're also be able to use to listen to music. So if you're using them on an iPhone, you'll be able to also listen to music at the same time. So that will change the battery life or the performance as we were talking about the 26 hours, but it's something that's currently only available on iOS. And we're going to talk about the applications right now and what you need to do to be able to get these things work. Downloading the application is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is, of course, look for it directly in the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, install it, and then from there you're going to install and log into your own account. It will pair directly into the actual application by just turning it on for the first time. It'll recognize it, connect it, and you're able to customize the different experiences. You do need to go through a couple of things in here as far as the hearing test to be able to make sure that it actually tunes them. Since we're not going to be working with a professional when you're using these, it's going to go through a few tests as I'm showing you guys with the quick video right now, where you're customizing the experience, and it goes through a couple of tone tests on both the right ear, left ear, and it calibrates the hearing aids to your hearing profile, and then you'll be able to start using them. We do have a gauge here to be able to raise or reduce the volume, as well as the ability of customizing the balance or the sound balance between the two. But other than that, once you have these configured, you really don't need the app anymore. For the most part, you just turn them on, put them in your ears, and you start using them. And you only go back to the app if you need to customize the experience a little bit. Now, one thing to mention though, on iOS devices, we do have a built-in functionality called the hearing devices within the iOS ecosystem. You can go ahead and customize and pair directly into this application function directly within the setup section before you go in and start using the application. And the nice thing about that, you can also control the volume control on it. It recognizes the actual the configuration for us, very straightforward. You can play ringtones, system audio, as well as audio routing when you're listening to it, audio handoff, control nearby devices, and hearing aid compatibility. As you saw there, the setup process is very straightforward. It's easy. You go through it either directly within the app, or if you're using it on an iOS device, you're also able to control it using the settings section. Both options provide us a rechargeable solution, which means you don't have to worry about batteries, you don't have to worry about finicking with anything. And it's really more about the functionality, or basically maybe the form factor. If you like it to be invisible, I feel like this is what you're going to getting there. The C20 does a very decent job, and the upgrade essentially is giving us the ability of using rechargeable batteries as opposed to having to put in those little batteries for hearing aids. Makes it easy to carry, easy to charge. You just make sure the case is charged. You're getting 3 full recharges out of the case for each buds, and again, up to about 26 hours of playback on each. The functionalities that we're looking at here, again, within the application works great. And the E10 for the most part is the only one that has audio playback right now directly on iOS devices, and that will impact the functional battery life that we're talking about. That 26 hours is rated for hearing aid purposes, not hearing aid and audio listening. So just something to keep in mind. But the one thing that also differentiates, this is where I feel like, although Apple decided to go through and put in a hearing aid functionality into their earbuds, the biggest thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, the fact is, this is still going into a form factor that's intended not to last more than 6 to 7 hours, maybe at the maximum, just listening with active noise cancellation. When you're adding a hearing aid functionality, obviously the battery usage will be lower, but you're adding that on top of all the other functionalities that are heavy or intense functional options that will drain the battery much faster. When you're thinking about the solution at the end of the day, if this is something that you're concerned about, if you feel like you have somewhat of a moderate or mild, hearing loss, this is something that you want to basically get diagnosis for it. If you want to be able to do something right now, I'll give you guys a link in the description below, and there's a 5-minute test that Sony has on their website. My recommendation is to do it with the with earphones, wired definitely, so no latency. And it'll go through and test out the hearing functions on both your right ear and your left ear. And it's going to give you a report at the end of it. It's not a very long one, very easy, but you need to go through the process and control the volume into a point where you're able to hear the certain tones. And from there, you'll get a report card. Either you'll get one that pretty much looks like this, the way mine came out, which is pretty much green across the board. Or, and this is, by the way, this is not a real test. This is primarily just a number of things because I wanted to show you guys what some of the other options look like. You can get something like what you're looking at right now. And that essentially is showing some concerns in different areas. And that just basically opens up the conversation for you to think about what is the next step and what would you like to do. If you decide to go with Sony and Sony Solutions, keep in mind this is a collaboration between Sony and WS Audiology. They're very much an authority within hearing aids when it comes to audio solutions for this type of technology. So it's very nice to see Sony's support as well as WS Audiology working together. They also do provide something that I don't feel like Apple is going to be providing anywhere in the near future, and that's actually support, an in-person, on-the-phone support for you when you purchase these devices so that you can set them up if you have any concerns, either functionality, testing, or whatever. You're going to be able to talk to an actual person. So it makes it even more functional for this type of audio solution from Sony. And again, we already know that they make great audio solutions. We love them for, again, in-ear, over-the-ear, phones, TVs, soundbars. Audio is literally in their DNA as well as obviously visuals, and I feel like this just continues that conversation. So with that being said, I do want to say thank you very much to Sony for sponsoring this video. And the experience that I'm sharing with you guys today is after me using these actual both hearing aids in the US, but also traveling with them. I got the opportunity to take them with me on a trip to Germany and just getting the functionalities and living with them a little bit more. I don't necessarily need both of these technologies right now, but I feel like if anybody is suffering from mild to moderate hearing loss, this can definitely be a life-changing experience. And again, the control is within your device. You can set them up, and once they're set, you really don't need to even look at the app. You take them out of the case, put them in, and you're ready to go. So like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the support as always. And of course, I will see you in the next video.